Jeff Buckley's album Grace, released on August 23, 1994, stands as one of the most remarkable debut albums in rock music. Its 10 tracks showcase Jeff's extraordinary vocals, innovative songwriting and eclectical musical influences, creating a work that continues to resonate with listeners decades after its release. Sadly, it was to be his only studio album, following his tragic and untimely death 3 years later, so we never got to hear another completed album from him. This inevitably makes it all the more precious and poignant. Following his move from Los Angeles to New York in 1991, Jeff had started to gain a loyal following, playing at the Cine Club in the East Village, and word quickly spread about his incredible vocal talents and his ability to command the attention of an audience. It wasn't long before there were limos parked outside the venue, followed by a bidding war, eventually won by Columbia Records. After some initial exploratory recordings that would later become the compilation album You and I, it was time to record his debut album proper with producer Andy Wallace. Bassist Mick Rondal and drummer-percussionist Matt Johnson formed the core of the band behind Jeff as they hit Bearsville Studio in the autumn of 1993. This was following some initial pre-production with Wallace. They got to it immediately, first with covers and then originals. Andy Wallace's production style suited Jeff. Both had a great appreciation of dynamics and control. Executive producer Steve Berkovitz said, "Andy could work tirelessly and endlessly, like a Marine, and all of it quietly and behind the scenes, and the tape was always rolling. I thought, this will be a good atmosphere for Jeff, where someone captures everything, as everything sounds really great." Back in 1991, Jeff was mostly known as the son of Tim Buckley, a folk singer who passed away at just 28 years old, and consequently leaving Jeff with no memory of him at all. He was beginning to establish his own musical identity when he participated in a tribute concert for his father titled Greetings from Tim Buckley. It was at this event in Brooklyn that he crossed paths with Janine Nichols, who oversaw the Art at St. Anne's program linked to the Brooklyn School of Art. Shortly before the concert, Jeff's guitar was stolen, leaving him in need of a replacement. Janine offered him her own 1983 Fender Telecaster, a guitar she customized by swapping out its pickguard for a mirrored one inspired by Chrissie Hynde of The Pretenders. Telecasters from that period don't tend to be the most sought after due to some manufacturing changes at Fender. They were often criticized for being heavy and lacking quality, but Jeff demonstrated that even an ordinary guitar could be transformed into something fantastic in the right hands. Unusually, it had a top-loading bridge, meaning the strings didn't go through the body like most Telecasters. This particular one was a design associated with 1959 Tellys. Jeff developed a strong attachment to this guitar, adopting it as his main instrument for live performances, including those at the Cine Club, and later for recording Grace. Over time, he had it refretted and modified, swapping out the bridge pickup for a Seymour Duncan hot lead stack. It provided a warmth and distinct quality to his guitar tone, especially when using overdrive. The guitar is famously featured in the Hallelujah video, earning its nickname Hallelujah Telecaster. The guitar was returned to its original owner after his death in '97 and sold at auction in 2011 for over $50,000. It eventually ended up in the hands of Muse frontman Matt Bellamy, who purchased the guitar in 2020. His main acoustic guitar for the album was the Guild F50. His amps for the sessions were the Blackface Fender Vibrolux combo for clean tones, along with the Mesa Boogie Tremo Verb for overdriven sounds. For certain tracks, he used a 1983 Rickenbacker 360 12-string electric. His distinctive chiming guitar tone was aided with a combination of effects, including an Oasis Quadraverb for reverb, and a vintage Echoplex tape delay unit for the atmospheric delays heard on tracks like Dream Brother. The inexpensive Quadraverb rack mount unit played an important role in shaping Jeff's signature sound. He liked to use the Taj Mahal reverb effect preset. It's likely he tweaked the settings though, so the final sound might not exactly be the preset, but it would be a good start if you're after a similar sound. He also used the Digitech Whammy 2, Boss Hyperfuzz, and a TC Electronics stereo chorus. At the mixing stage, Andy Wallace liked to use layers of reverb using the Lexicon PCM70, ranging from the tiled room for a short reverb to the medium and large halls for longer reverbs. Wallace also utilised the natural acoustics of Bearsville Studios, particularly in the main recording room, which had wooden walls and high ceilings. The space's natural reverb is an integral part of the album's sound, especially on tracks like Lilac Wine and Corpus Christi Carol. One of the techniques Andy used on the guitars was to use two different close mics placed in different positions around the cab and pan them oppositely, creating a sense of stereo. The reverbs were then blended in to give a sense of space, while still maintaining an intimate, close cab feel. The reverbs were then brought in and out dynamically to create some drama. This works brilliantly on Hallelujah. The mics used were the Neumann U87s, placed at different points relative to the speaker cone to pick up a different tonality and assist in creating the wide sound. Gary Lucas, who performed on Grace and Mojo Pin, used a Fender Stratocaster and a National Steel guitar. Gary also co-wrote both songs with Jeff. Matt Johnson's drums were recorded with attention to room ambience. The drum kit was mic'd closely and with room mics to capture the natural resonance of Bearsville's wooden-walled main room. The bass guitar, played by Mick Rondal, was recorded both with a DI and through an Ampeg SVT amplifier and then blended. For Buckley's vocals, Andy Wallace primarily used a Neumann U87. This choice was significant as the U87's clear high-end and rich mid-range complemented Jeff's voice perfectly. Wallace then positioned him at different distances from the microphone for different passages. For the more intimate vocal sections, Jeff would sing closer to the microphone, creating a sense of proximity. During more powerful sections, he would step back, allowing his voice to interact with the room acoustics. This technique is particularly evident on Hallelujah, where his placement catches both the delicacy and power of his performance. Jeff's live shows were notable for his improvisations, which could stretch the song's lengths considerably. For the album arrangements, though, a more concise approach was needed, and this was where Wallace was integral to the process, by making sure the songs were tight, yet still had the dynamics and arrangements that Jeff was known for. Berkowitz said, one of the biggest challenges of the record was actually finishing it. Buckley was in the habit of doing take after take to try and nail the right one, even if what he had already done was perfectly acceptable, and it took outside nudging to get him to move on. He didn't necessarily want to let his first child just go out there, and he had spent his whole life getting ready to make his first album. You only make a first album once, and he understood that, and he wanted it to be, in his own terms, badass, and to be really proud of it. After recording, the album was mixed on an SSL console at Soundtrack Studios in New York. Wallace used minimal compression on Buckley's voice in order to preserve their dynamics. The emphasis was naturally on keeping Jeff's voice front and centre, with the instrument arranged in a wide stereo field to create a sense of space and dimension. Upon its release, Grace received positive reviews, but achieved modest commercial success, peaking at 149 on the Billboard 200. In the decades since, however, its reputation has grown enormously, with musicians from Radiohead to Adele citing it as an influence. Buckley's death in 1997 transformed the album into a tragic testament to unfulfilled potential, yet Grace still stands on its own merits as a complete artistic statement, showcasing a musical vision fully realised. Its unique combination of technical prowess, emotional depth through incredibly honest vocal performances, continues to attract new listeners decades after its creation.